I saw 5'11", 180. He does not look 5'11" to me.
No,
He does
and that's
not look 5'11" at
Zach.
all.
He literally looks 5'9". Dion he's going to a place where he's gonna be used at both. I'm just telling you that now. I think that's part of the package that you're getting with.
Against North Dakota State in the end zone, the corner was on him like a blanket, and go watch that catch. He still came down with it. I don't even know how he could see the ball. Last week, we talked about running backs, at least the upper tier of those running backs, and we're going to get deeper into the draft as the process goes on. But in this week's episode, we're talking wide receivers. Once again, guys that are hovering around that upper tier of wide receivers. And when I look at this wide receiver class, I honestly have one thing in mind, and it's how they complement CD, how they complement Dak, because at this point, it's kind of what the offense needs. And while, yes, talent above everything else in the draft, there's a ton of different players, different styles, different body types. And I think it makes for an interesting conversation on how each of them kind of project into the Cowboys offense. Of course, we don't really know who the play caller is going to be, who the head coach is going to be, what kind of scheme we're going to be looking at. But I think there's room to imagine kind of how these guys fit and all of their different skill sets. So let's talk about one of the most interesting guys in this entire draft, and that's T McMillan, the Arizona wide receiver. Foots, you just made a video about him. Give me a little breakdown on what you thought about the player, what you saw on film.
Well, for me, Zach, this is near and dear to my heart because before we get to Tet, how I feel about the Cowboys getting weapons is I think the Cowboys have been, for a while there, they were kind of ahead of the trends, and I think now they are a little behind the trends. I think that they're a little behind on needing the type of running back prospect they need to now come in and be a guy, not just getting a Rico Dowdle undrafted or a Deuce Vaughn in the sixth round, and then obviously at the receiver position, love Jalen Tolbert, third round pick, South Alabama. Like, how good is he? Love Ryan Flournoy. Can't get on the field this year. Like, I think that they've kind of went so far left. And yes, they did draft CeeDee Lamb. But even before CeeDee Lamb, it was like Amari Cooper. They traded for him. Michael Gallup, third round pick. I'm okay with getting Dak a real weapon, a real target. I think there's a Bengals team that said, you know what? We had T. Higgins. We're still going to draft Jamar Chase high, and we're going to give Joe Burrow everything he needs. There's an Eagles team that said, you know what? We drafted Devonta Smith 10th overall. Guess what? We're still going to go out and pay A.J. Brown. I'm okay with living in that world. There's going to be your O-line truthers every year. Let's fix the O-line. Hey, I got news for you, man. Like, at the end of the day, this Cowboys team has been drafting O-linemen since 2020. 9 of them, Zach. 9. I found that stat, and it almost felt fake. And I was like, there's no way Dallas has drafted that many linemen since 2020. 9 drafted linemen, Zachary.
Yep.
So to me, it's like, if you're going to be drafting this high, and this is one of the things that I'm passionate about, if you're going to be drafting this guy this high, get a guy. Get a guy, capital G. Tet is one of those guys. T McMillan. He's from the California area and went to Servite High School. The guy is, he's a freak, bro. The game against New Mexico this year, 380 yards. He plays above the rim. One of the more interesting things about T McMillan for me, Zach, is how good of a route runner he is at that height. He is a really good route runner at his height, but he also plays big. He's clear receiver 1 for me. His catch radius is amazing. He can run away from you. I like to call him Drake London on steroids. I like to call him Mike Evans on steroids. Obviously, he has to come in the league. He has to show and prove, but I would say he's probably a hair below Marvin Harrison Jr. from last year as far as skill set, but he's right there as far as being a top guy.
When you look at McMillan and people that haven't watched him play, the first thing they're going to say when they see him is that height is absurd. He looks like he's about 7 foot tall running around out there. And the height comes with a very impressive wingspan. The dude's arms are extremely long. He's your prototypical X receiver. And against the average NFL corner, which isn't 6'5", it's going to be a mismatch every single time. And I think what's most impressive is when a guy gets that big, and he is a little, skinny. I think he's like 212, 215. I think that's what they have him listed at Arizona. He has great body control, something that's super important for a guy that is going to be in a good bit of jump ball situations. The body control is next level to be 6'5". He made a play towards the sideline, going up, getting it. And it's crazy that a guy
the New Mexico game, it was
with
insane.
That, and off the bat, NFL scouts are going to goo and gah over this guy when he's out there on the field working out, because he is that prototypical NFL X wide receiver. Now, yes, I like Tet, but you like wide receivers. You like wide receivers with jump ball ability, not the fastest guys in the world. And Tet is faster than he looks. The long stride kind of makes him look slower than he is. You like Keon Coleman last year. You were super high on him. Yes. I wasn't as high on him coming out of Florida State, but you like guys that rely on the physicality, jump balls. Stuff like that worries me a little bit more on how it translates to the NFL. You start getting in that catch rate of, 40%, 45%. It's not as for sure as some of the guys we're going to talk about, some of the route runner technician type guys, and how it fits with Dak Prescott, a guy that likes route runners, guys that can get open by themselves. And one of those guys is Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State, somebody that works in the slot a lot of the times, can work outside as well. What do you think about Emeka Egbuka? If you want to dispute me on the Tet claim.
This video is brought to you guys by BetUS. All your betting needs, BetUS has it. They have a very easy to navigate website. BetUS. If you want to make these plays, make sure you guys make them on BetUS. Even some of the player props, CeeDee Lamb, Rico Dowdle. So you got NCAA on. It's starting to get tight. You got a 12-team playoff. So all these different sports are happening. Make sure you guys get your plays in. Make sure you get those parlays in. BetUS can take care of you. All you got to do, YouTube, 150. Get that 150% bonus promo. They'll give you that on your first couple plays. Make sure you guys tap in with BetUS. The website is very easy to maneuver. BetUS. No, I think your Tet claim is spot on. I mean, there's it with long, lumbering guys in the NFL that can be scary, right? Because, if he's just camped on the edge and he doesn't have a creative OC and he can't go in the slot. Now, the thing about Tet is you actually saw, even in that New Mexico game, you saw a lot of reps in the slot. But if he can't go in the slot and you don't have an OC that's going to move him around and you just throw him jump balls all game, that could possibly be a recipe for disaster. I mean, every receiver can't win that way in the NFL. It's still the league. These guys still aren't just going to let you bully him, and play strength and stuff like that really does matter. I think he has good play strength, but I mean, you look at his frame and you can see where he can put body. He needs to put on some mass. It is what it is. Now, Emeka Egbuka, let's talk about him, because to me, Zach, here's a guy who I've been covering and following 2 years ago. I mean, he bust on the scene as a freshman. Him, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I mean, it was like having the triplets out there. 3 receivers who can flat out do it. You watch him against Oregon this game, man, and it was just like, I mean, this year, and bro, he can run. His lower half is amazing. What do I mean by his lower half, Zach? He's very hard to bring down. Extremely hard to bring down. He can run routes, though. He can run through tackles. He's the best blocking receiver in this class. Like, he can stack guys. You can use him on the move. You can use him as a crack player. There's pretty much nothing that he can't do. The only concern, injuries. But this is the thing I love about coming from that Brian Hartline that Brian Hartline Ohio State, Ryan Day. Those guys produce NFL receivers. They just do. Garrett Wilson. I just talked about Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's having a great year this year. I mean, the guy, 8 touchdowns, 12 yards a catch. He reminds me of Rashee Rice. He's not Blazer. That's not his game. He's not going to run away from you, Zach. But anywhere in the slot, he's going to route you up. It's like he's playing basketball. He's going to cross you up. Allen Iverson-esque. He catches everything. Natural hands, Zach. I mean, just natural hands. And he's scheme proof. That's going to be a big thing. So what you're talking about with Tet, I don't think that Tet is scheme proof. I think Tet needs the right OC. As good as he is, he needs the right offensive coordinator. There's a few other guys on this list. They need the right offensive coordinator. And I know I'm getting long-winded because I really care about, dude, with Egbuka, you can play him on the outside. Like his primary position may be as a number 2 and as a slot, but he can run every route. So if you want to put him on the edge and have him run, slants and comebacks and digs and breakers, he can do all that type of stuff. The kid is outstanding.
When I think about a guy that matches Dak Prescott, pairs well with CeeDee Lamb, a guy that would be a very, very high-end number 2, Emeka Egbuka, he's that dude. He's crafty route runner. He's super clean in and out of his breaks. I think he's a guy that would do wonders for the Cowboys passing game, and honestly more of a 1B to CD's 1A. And like I was mentioning earlier, Dak has done so well with those types of receivers, guys that can get open on their own. And like you said, very scheme proof. If you look back, I know he's not a crafty route runner. Jason Witten could get open. Cole Beasley could get open. Amari Cooper. The list just goes on and on when you look back at the wide receivers that Dak has played well with in the past. Now, for Egbuka at Ohio State, they do a lot of different things to get the ball in his hands. And when I was watching Judkins, there was a play that they ran to Egbuka on a little end around. And just in space, he looks so natural, and I couldn't really see his number.
Like a jet. Yeah, like a jet sweep.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, he looks like a legit ball carrier. Close to the line of scrimmage, he can make guys miss. For Egbuka, though, I'm interested to see who Dallas brings in as their head coach, who's the play caller in 2025, what they would plan to do if you did draft that type of receiver. CD plays a lot in the slot. Egbuka plays a lot in the slot. It'd be interesting to see what they do moving forward. And I think that's the case for a lot of these guys. Now let's talk about a burner in Isaiah Bond from Texas. Very fast. What did you see from him on film?
Remember watching Isaiah Bond at Alabama, and then he transferred to Texas. And, a lot like his teammate who just got drafted, he's going to be a 4-2 guy, and Xavier Worthy. He's going to be a 4-2 guy. 4-2, 4-3, Bond can run. The one thing that does scare me about Bond is I don't know how big he is, like how tall and how big he is. So, again, scheme. Can I play you on the edge, or are you just coming in just to run nines? Can you run the full route tree? One of the things about Egbuka is he can run corners. He can run comebacks. He's not what you said about him being a natural ball carrier. He has natural grit. He has natural physicalness. I don't know if I don't know if Bond all the way has that. I think Bond is just a high-end 2, or as you said with Egbuka, he can be a 1B. He can really develop into being a 1B. And I don't know if that's the case with Isaiah Bond. However, if you're looking for a guy, if you have a niche to where you just need a player to stretch the field and just open up the defense and just Rashid Shaheed you through games, I think that's Isaiah Bond's game. And I don't know if he's quite as good as Xavier Worthy, because I actually graded Xavier Worthy as a really good receiver. Like, I was like, you know what? He can actually play receiver at a high clip. I don't know if that's Isaiah Bond's game, but I really like the player.
Bond is going to be a lot like McMillan when he gets out there at the combine and they run the 40. Everyone's going to be like, okay, it's just that, that deep speed. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Now, the thing with Dallas, and something that I've complained about for so long, is this team needs to get faster. Sometimes it just looks like they're playing in 0.5 speed. Everybody else is on regular speed. So I wouldn't complain about getting a guy like that, but I think Bond can do other things as well. You're going to need an offensive coordinator, like you mentioned, a guy that he can't just come in and run nines and then, stretch the field every couple plays or whatever. But he can do some of the things that you see with Kevontae Turpin, just at a better level, a more consistent level. And I think he does offer you a little bit more as a receiver than Kevontae Turpin. I think he's bigger than that. You did mention the measurables. I saw 5'11", 180. He does not look 5'11" to me.
No, he does
not look 5'11" at all.
He literally looks 5'9".
Yes, yes. I'm gonna say I honestly think he'll be about 5'9", 5'10" if on a good day. You know, wear some big shoes. But I do like the idea of adding speed to the Cowboys because I think that's something that they've struggled with. You stretch the field vertically, you know, be a complement to CD, kind of be the guy that we thought Brandon Cooks could maybe be, just getting a little bit older. But let's talk about another guy. And we talked about this pre-show. You texted me about it, and that's Luther Burden. So what did you see from Burden on film?
Well, I think that I want people to kind of pump their brakes on the Malik Neighbors talk. I've seen that comp floated around, and it's kind of like, well, it's the same thing that they did with Justin Blackmon and Dez Bryant. I go back way to, you know, every jump ball receiver is Dez Bryant, and it's just not the case. When you look at Luther Burden, he's had a down year, but I really like some of the things that Luther Burden does. After the catch, again, he can run like the wind. He's very physical, good lower half, a lot like Emeka Egbuka. The difference is, and why I kind of stirred some things up on Twitter and why I said, give me Egbuka over Burden, is I see a better receiver. Like, I see a guy who does receiver things better. And this is, listen, Luther Burden has it all. I mean, he's smooth. I just don't know if he, like, when we talk about Malik Neighbors, you talk about a guy who was easily the best route runner in the class and was great after the catch and could run past you. With Burden, I don't, just the pure explosiveness. Yes. With Burden, I see a great receiver, but not in that way. Like with Marvin Harrison, you just saw the measurables, the body beautiful, the Larry Fitzgerald in his game. And so that's why those two were so dynamic versus everybody else in the class from last year. When you talk about Burden, I also don't know how tall he is, Zach. I like Burden, but I don't know how tall he is. He's gonna draw a lot of Debo. I see more Debo. Yak is his niche versus being a true receiver. Go out, route people up, go out, catch everything. He struggled with drops this year. Go out, that's not really his game. When you talk about pairing a guy with CD, I actually don't like that pairing with CD. I do like the pairing of Tet with CD. I do like the pairing with a few of these other receivers with CD. I don't like that pairing with CD because it's that Malachi Corley. You have to design him the ball. You have to have a page in your playbook for Burden, I feel. Yep. And if I'm drafting in the top 10, top 15, do I want a receiver that way, Zach? In that way? I don't know.
You mentioned how he goes with CD, and I hate to bring this up, but this is kind of how the Cowboys operate. They did trade a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. Obviously, Mingo is not that explosiveness. We know that. We know what he is in the NFL. But it does feel a bit redundant when you have Lamb, Mingo, and Burden based on how you're looking at it from the Cowboys' perspective. Now, something that Mizzou did, like you mentioned, a lot of his trademark things are based off of yards after catch. So yes. Mizzou did a lot near the line of get him out into space. He's motioning it. They're motioning him out of the backfield. I didn't see him face enough press coverage in the game that I watched. So I'm curious on how much he can win in the NFL. They bunched up those wide receivers. He was getting a free release. With that said, I don't see the Malik Neighbors comparison at all. When I watch Malik Neighbors, the breaks, explosiveness, when he got out of his break, I mean, he was pulling 5-10 yards away from guys with no problem, made it look easy. Yeah. Burden is twitched up. He's explosive, a controlled, very natural athlete. And I don't know if you watched the Texas A&M game, but there was a play where he showed really good body control on a back shoulder throw. He did beat press coverage in that situation, but the body control, the back shoulder catch, just beautiful to see, and he made it look easy. Now, I would definitely pump the brakes on the Malik Neighbors talk for sure. And I agree with you that I don't see a world where Mingo, Burden, Lamb really makes sense. And I hate to say Mingo because people, I know you Foots do not like Jonathan Mingo talk. And it should not have any, bearing on who you draft. It shouldn't have any
bearing on who you draft. Yeah,
exactly.
I think the problem with it is this, Zach. When you look at his film, it's littered with screens. It's littered with quick game.
Everything's close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. And how does, like, let me ask you that. Let me ask you, Zach, we don't know who our next OC is going to be. Do you want a guy on this team that's what he's known for? Or would you rather have a guy who can stretch the field, work the intermediate part of the field? Like, what do you feel with that? Because that's what his game is, get the ball to him right now and let him run.
I think that's putting too much trust in a OC, in the play caller, for them to, have a plan for him, game plan for him, because you're trying to work CeeDee Lamb, obviously, into that somewhere. And then you're trying to, I don't see a world where I would spend a top 15 pick, top 20 pick on a guy like that. And you mentioned Burden and the, kind of Debo comparison, the yards after catch guy. I think what's weird with Burden is we don't know his measurables, but his body type is a kind of, I hate to say it, like a tweener. Like he's not, he's not super tall. He's not really short. He's not really stocky, but he's not really skinny either. And he's not, a crazy route runner. Now, a lot of people think he's super fast. Some people, I didn't really see that on film.
I didn't see that on film. And he may be a guy that's, I think he'll probably be like a 4.48 athlete. I don't know if he's a burner, but I don't think he's slow. But I don't think he's fast either.
Yeah, it's just like a weird middle ground where he does some things well, doesn't do some things well, the body type, the speed, all of that. But let's talk about a guy that does literally everything well. We don't know where he's going to play, if he's going to play on both sides of the ball in the NFL, wide receiver, cornerback, and that's Travis Hunter. I'm sure a lot of people here have seen him play. An impressive player. I'm going to ask you, what do you think his position is in the NFL? Because I've seen it both ways. I've seen people say corner. I've seen people say wide receiver.
I say this. Deion he's going to a place where he's going to be used at both. I'm just telling you that now. I think that's part of the package that you're getting with Travis Hunter, and then wherever he wants Shadur to go, Deion is going to use his Manning trump card to talk to that team. Well, it could be Dallas. I don't know. It could be I want you to use Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball. I'm not saying that he should. I'm not saying that he will, but I'm saying that's going to be Deion's plan. I have Travis. This is going to be one of the great debates moving forward, but I have Travis Hunter graded as a better receiver than corner. That being said, he's top 10 in both, Zach. That's how good the kid is. I've been following this kid since he was at Collins Hill in Georgia. He's actually from Boynton Beach, Florida. I've been following this kid for a long time. Play strength there. Will tackle you. Will mirror. He's actually a better off corner than a true press man corner, Zach. But the guy can do it all. And then when you talk about him as a receiver, natural hands, natural body control, natural route runner, natural after the catch. No, he's not CeeDee after the catch, but I'm telling you, he's somewhere between Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Like, he's just that smooth. He can run away from you. He'll climb the ladder. Him and T McMillan's battle when he was at corner was amazing. Then you turn around, put him on offense, and he's barbecuing this was last year, Arizona's secondary. They couldn't guard him. And I mean, just his stamina. His will to play football is incredible. But as a receiver, he pairs with CeeDee amazing because he can be your possession guy. He can run every route on the route tree. He can stretch the defense. And oh, by the way, he will climb the ladder, Zach. This is a kid who in high school, his last play of his high school career, he caught a game winner as on a jump ball. The guy it's insane. It was written. He could have went to any school he wanted to. He followed Prime. He looks at Prime like a father figure. He really, really does. So part of his deal will be, I'm guaranteeing it, Prime wants him to go somewhere where he'll at least get some reps on defense or offense, whichever Travis wants to play at the next level. I think his best position is receiver.
You mentioned him playing with CeeDee being a 2 to CeeDee and how he complements him. Well, how about having a third corner after Jordan Lewis is gone, or you have another injury at corner? I am interested to see how the conversation unfolds with how teams plan on using him, what position they see him at, and like you said, how much what Prime has to do with that. But as a receiver, the ball skills, the catch radius, he can fight through contact. There was a play against North Dakota State in the end zone. It was like late in
first game of the year.
Late in the fourth quarter, the corner was on him like a blanket, and go watch that catch. He still came down with it. I don't even know how he could see the ball, but everything that makes him a good wide receiver makes him a good corner. Everything that makes him a good corner makes him a good
Makes him
wide
a good
receiver.
wide
You know, the
receiver.
ball
Yeah.
skills, all of those things. And like I mentioned, he makes it look easy. I always feel like that's a big thing when it comes to NFL players, because some guys just look like ballers. They're
Yeah.
just those type of guys where it just looks easy, natural, and that's what Travis Hunter is. So I am interested to see how the conversation unfolds. I would be very, very surprised if he makes it to the Cowboys, if they're picking,
Yeah.
8 to 10, but we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. That would be one interesting move for sure. That would be the one that gets everybody talking.
The one thing that I will say is in play here with that is I do believe that Dion has enough power that if it's certain organizations that want to draft Travis, Dion will say no. Like, he's not going to Carolina. I'm gonna tell you that now. Or he's not. Dion has that pull.
Oh yeah,
And you know what? Good for Dion. The Mannings did it. It's other teams who have done stuff like this. Dion has that pull. So that could be your one saving grace, because we know how much Dion loves Jerry Jones. We know how much he loves the organization in Dallas. That is one place that I could say Dion would say he can go there. But, especially if, next coach, whoever that may be, it's been floated around that, Dion could be in play. I don't think Dion's in play here. But I do think that that is a real thing. I'm not gonna say I think, I know it's a real thing. Him not only knowing where Shadur is gonna go, but where Travis is gonna go, because he wants to set those guys up with success.
Exactly. I mean, where they go makes a big difference. I don't want to see Travis Hunter go to Carolina. That would not be any fun to watch him win 3 or 4 games a year. But it'll be interesting for all of these guys. That is our top 5, or our first 5 wide receivers we've discussed in this draft process. We hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to both me and
the
Foots.
King. It's me, and this is the start of something beautiful with this draft talk. We just want to say thank you to you all. We see the comments. We love the fact that you guys love what we're doing as a pair. Man, working with Zach has been incredible, because the true love for this draft thing, and like, we're even doing a draft guide and making sure that you guys have this information. It's going to be a ride. And listen, obviously the season isn't going the way we want it to, but I can really, really say you guys will be prepared come April. And it sounds like it's a long ways away. It's really not. So
it's going to be here before you know it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get started. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.